So in my last video, I spoke about the brain and the gut. How you can get these two parts of yourself and get them on the same page. And I argue that one way to do that is you sort of learn to go within yourself and see how you feel and what your thoughts are and anything, and rely on that more so than the outside opinions and feelings of other people. And one major way I do that is through meditation. And I love, it's been something I've been doing for years, and whenever I tell people that I meditate, by far the biggest reaction is either it's, oh, I should do that, I should do more of that, that would help me, but mostly it's, oh, I can never do that, I can't even sit still for a second, let alone for 10 minutes. And I usually almost always say to them, me either, I can't do that shit either, that's why I keep trying. And it's part of the practice, a lot of us struggle with just sitting there, because we got shit to do. We have lists and goals and worries, and we want to go out in the world and do them. Sit on the floor for fucking 10 minutes is insane. But I love it, and while I think it's mostly revered as a relaxation tool, and I think it does that, but it's great at that. And if you can't sleep, and if you're just kind of really stressed out, and you have high blood pressure and all that kind of shit, there's a ton of science and there's a ton of reasoning that will point you in the direction of meditation, and that's a lot of why people get into it. I had trouble sleeping once, and I got into it that way. But that's not ultimately why I still do it. Why I still do it. See, the thing about me is that I love to think. I love to just be on a New York subway and have my headphones in and just kind of let my mind wander and daydream and think about like movies I like and songs I like, and kind of make connections between them and connect that shit to life and shit I've read, hypothesize about the future, about the way like science or industry or whatever blah 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 is going, and correlate that to my views and all this kind of silliness I love to do, So and it's given me a lot, it's taken me to college, I graduated college, it's given me jobs, it's made me articulate, and that's all well and good, but as much as that's been good for me, I think it's also in a lot of ways helped me back, because what I'm going to argue here is that thought is a very superficial part of experience. Like, it's up here, but then there's a lot of shit down here. And when you're thinking, it's kind of a very removed place. It's a very alienated place, not only from others, but also just from yourself. Like, when you're up here in your head, that's a place where you're kind of isolated from your emotions and your reactions and the way your body feels, and, and those are fucking incredible indicators of how you're doing and how you're feeling about stuff. And I mean, not only that, is when you're kind of in your head all the time, it's really tough to act. I made a video about planning the enemy of action. It feels wonderful to fucking make all these plans and, I have this goal, so let's go about it in this way and just do this and write it all down. But it's not the same thing as doing it. I love to make plans. I'm a fucking genius with plans, but taking action is something else. It's hard to take action. And it's hard to be in the moment with people when you're in your head. And those are things I struggle with, like when, it's kind of why I love alcohol, because it takes you out of your head. There's this like outside substance that you drink, and then you're not in your head anymore. You're like, oh, you're all loose and your inhibitions aren't there because you're filthy. Your head isn't talking to you and does not do shit. Then all of a sudden, then you can be the life of the party. You can mingle with acquaintances, talk to friends, and let your guard down and talk to girls and all that kind of shit. And it's incredible. But then you're dependent on this fucking thing. And I used to challenge myself when I would go to bars and stuff and I wanted to talk to girls, like, how about we don't use alcohol? I did that for a while. And I would find that because of my fucking overactive mind and thoughts, I would like talk myself out of shit. Like, holy shit, I want to talk to her. No, but what am I gonna say? Blah blah blah. I'm not dressed well. Blah blah blah. What is your reaction? She's probably this kind of person. She's not gonna be like open to finding out who I am. Blah blah blah. And then all this shit, and then you eventually go and speak to them, and then it's nothing about what you thought. Fucking thoughts are not true, man. If you're listening and you're taking anything from any of my videos, take that point. What you think is not true. It's only what you think. One monk said once, I forget his name, but in a lecture I heard, your thoughts are garbage. Your thoughts are garbage. A little bit of Jersey accent there. Your thoughts are garbage. Just because they're in your head doesn't mean that they're true. You like want to talk to this person, or like you want to go out with this person, and it's not how you think it is. How many times do we say that? This is not how I thought it would be. Because the superficial layer of your thoughts, that's data based on your previous experiences, shit that you've seen in movies and TV and music, and what the pop culture feeds you, and the experiences of people that you know. That's what this mind, that's what it draws from, its conclusions. Is any of that true? Can't anything happen at any time? Of course. So here isn't really, I think, where we want to be ultimately. As much as I love it, and as I need to, part of my journey is I need to recognize that as much as I love it, it's not where life is. Life is living. Life is embodied. Life is experience. Making mistakes, having the heartbreaks, having the joys, having the ecstasies, and then you live and then you experience, and then you get to know who you are. And the way you get to know who you are is the way I do it, is meditating. Because you have the superficial layer of experience, and when I meditate and when I sit, it's a tool for me to peel through that and kind of get really within myself and seeing how I'm feeling about stuff. I sit, and I'll sit in a quiet place, and maybe eyes open, maybe eyes closed, and I just have my thoughts going. If I'm feeling particularly emotional or I'm really confused about something, I'll sit and I'll have a million thoughts, because I always do. And I have a million thoughts and I'll watch them go. Sometimes I'll get wrapped up in them, like, what the fuck, how could this happen? But then no, it's a thought, let's let it pass. It all passes. They're like clouds in the sky. They just drift. They come back, but they drift. And in that space between the drifting away and the coming back, thoughts go and they come back. In the middle, there's like silence. And then in that silence, you're like, wow, I'm not thinking anything right now. And that's the moment. In that place, there's nowhere to go and nothing to do and nothing to be. It's just, you're here now. And I love that place. And in that place, you realize a lot of stuff. You realize a lot of shit. You realize, wow, I'm pretty pissed. Or you realize, wow, I'm really excited. Or I'm really nervous. Or I'm fucking sad. And that's where people pay like hundreds of dollars an hour to be in a therapist office, and they want to process their emotions. That's what processing your emotions is. It's part of it. Where you are feeling it full force. The mind, the superficial layer, is a manifestation of those emotions, I think. But it ultimately is a buffer that keeps you from feeling them. Maybe all us intellectuals in our heads are all afraid of our emotions. Maybe. Who knows? But when you feel it full force, maybe you'll cry, maybe you'll scream, maybe you'll be enraged, maybe you'll be so happy. That's truth. There's nothing more true than that. There's nothing more true than that in this world. That's the truth of your experience. And that's beyond you rationalizing something and thinking, oh, I don't know. that's how you feel, and that's what you are in that moment, you know. I mean, you can argue with whether we are our emotions or not, but that is your truth. And then when you're wrestling decisions of, I have a cool job, but I would like to quit it and start my own business. I'm going to quit my job in Wall Street and become a pilot. You know? I know a person who's grappling with that. And then they're torn up by that decision, and, they go back and forth. Then they look in, and why aren't I actually doing it? They look inside and they're meditating, hopefully. And they find the space between the thoughts, and then they go in, and you have that silence, and then holy shit, I'm actually really scared. What if I'm not a good pilot? What if can I do without all this lifestyle and this money? Pilots have a lot of responsibility. Can I take all those people's lives in my hands? I don't know. Maybe it's on autopilot and pilots don't really do shit. Who knows? But, and same thing, like, that's kind of where our instincts are. That's where your gut is. That's how you get access to it. You got to get past the thoughts. And, maybe you don't have to do it through meditation. Maybe you find your own way to do it, but that's how I do it. But that's my invitation to all of us, to myself and to you, to get past the thoughts, get into your gut, see how you feel. When people say I have a good feeling about this, do you want to see what you have good feelings about? Oh, I got a bad feeling about this person. I got a bad feeling about this job and this opportunity. Maybe you're fucking right. And it's a little contradictory because I said, how often is it that, shit doesn't happen the way we thought it would. But I think there's a lot to be said for our instincts, Like, that's how you develop faith and confidence in yourself. Like, no, I know what I feel, and I'm not budging. That could be stubbornness, but it could also be standing your ground. It could also be, instead of having this world take you in any sort of direction, you know what you are and you know what you feel. Because when shit feels good, it feels good, and that's when things are going well. And then things continue to go well, and there's this abundance of opportunities and flow and all that shit. So that's my invitation to us all. Peel past the superficial layers, peel past the story that we've been fed and we tell ourselves, and see the real truth of what you're feeling. Get in that moment. Alright, so that's part 2. I'm going to be I have one more thing to talk about, and that'll be coming soon. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Peace out.